Disability discussions with Ihoma Healthcare.
Welcome back to Disability Discussions with Ihoma Healthcare. We're so glad you're joining us today. Every week, we explore the stories, challenges, and breakthroughs shaping disability communities across the country. And today, we're taking you on a little trip.
A trip with a twist. Because we're talking about the most accessible city in America, and trust us, it's not the one you think. You might be picturing New York, maybe DC, maybe San Francisco with all its tech innovation. But nope. Today's Spotlight City is going to surprise you.
And not just surprise you, it's going to challenge the way we think about accessibility, community design, and what it really means for a city to be welcoming to disabled people.
Before we reveal the city, let's talk about what accessible actually means. Because people often reduce accessibility to ramps and elevators.
Exactly. But accessibility is so much more than that. It's transportation, it's housing, it's employment, it's sensory-friendly spaces, it's communication access, it's community attitudes, it's the ability to participate in everyday life without barriers.
And here's the big one. Accessibility isn't just infrastructure, it's culture. A city can have ramps everywhere and still be inaccessible if the people aren't welcoming, if systems aren't flexible, or if policies don't support disabled residents.
So when we say the most accessible city, we're talking about the whole ecosystem, not just the architecture.
Now let's talk about the cities people assume are the most accessible. New York City gets mentioned a lot.
Right, and yes, NYC has accessible taxis, paratransit, and a growing number of accessible subway stations. But it also has crowds, noise, sensory overload, and infrastructure that's over a century old.
Then there's Washington, D.C. Great public transit, wide sidewalks, accessible museums. But housing affordability? That's a barrier all by itself.
San Francisco gets credit for tech innovation, but the hills alone make it a challenge for many people.
So if it's not the big cities, who is it?
All right, let's reveal it. One of the most accessible cities in America, consistently ranked high by disability advocates, urban planners, and community organizations is
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yes, Pittsburgh, the city of bridges, steel, and sports fans, and it's quietly become one of the most disability-friendly cities in the country.
People are always shocked, but once you look at the details, it makes perfect sense.
Let's break down why Pittsburgh stands out. First, public transportation. Pittsburgh's bus system is one of the most accessible in the nation. Nearly every bus is wheelchair accessible, and routes cover the entire city, not just downtown.
Second, healthcare access. Pittsburgh is home to world-class medical centers, including UPMC, which has extensive disability services, rehabilitation programs, and specialists.
Third, community design. Pittsburgh has invested heavily in curb cuts, accessible pedestrian signals, and sensory-friendly public spaces. Even their sports stadiums have some of the best accessibility features in the country.
Fourth, affordability. This is a big one. Accessibility doesn't matter if you can't afford to live there. Pittsburgh's cost of living is significantly lower than most major cities, making accessible housing more attainable.
And fifth, culture. Pittsburgh has a strong disability advocacy community. People show up, organizations collaborate, the city listens.
Let's talk about what this looks like in everyday life. Imagine a disabled resident navigating the city.
They can take a bus with a reliable lift system. They can attend a baseball game with sensory-friendly seating. They can visit museums with tactile exhibits and ASL-interpreted tours.
They can find housing that doesn't require them to choose between accessibility and affordability. They can access health care without traveling across the state.
And they can participate in community events without feeling like an afterthought.
Now, Pittsburgh isn't the only surprise. Other cities that rank high in accessibility include
Minneapolis, with its accessible skyway system, Louisville, with strong disability employment initiatives, Phoenix, with wide sidewalks and accessible outdoor spaces, Raleigh, with inclusive community programming.
These cities aren't always in the spotlight, but they're doing the work.
So what can big cities learn from places like Pittsburgh?
That accessibility isn't about being flashy, it's about being consistent. It's about listening to disabled residents. It's about designing for real life, not just for compliance.
It's about affordability, community partnerships, and making accessibility part of the city's identity, not an afterthought.
As we look toward the future, accessible cities will become more important than ever. Aging populations, increased disability awareness, and advances in technology mean cities must evolve.
And the cities that thrive will be the ones that embrace accessibility as a core value, not a checkbox.
Cities that understand that accessibility benefits everyone. Parents with strollers, older adults, people recovering from injuries, and anyone navigating the world.
So what's the most accessible city in America? It might not be the one with the tallest buildings or the biggest reputation. It might be the one quietly doing the work.
And that's the lesson. Accessibility isn't about size or fame, it's about commitment. It's about listening. It's about designing a city where disabled people can live fully, freely, and with dignity.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Disability Discussions with Ihoma Healthcare. We hope today's conversation opened your eyes to what accessibility really looks like and where it's happening.
Share this episode, keep the conversation going, and remember, accessibility isn't a feature, it's a foundation.
That row, we'll see you next time.